Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Canadian Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Australian Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Asia. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Europe. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my South Pacific Africans, my continental Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Central American Africans, my South American Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my American Africans, my Texas Africans. Duncanville, I will see you Sunday. Duncanville, Texas. The Ultimate Holistic Health Festival. Go on Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite and get your tickets if you're coming to Duncanville, Texas. Next Sunday, June 26th, I speak at 3 o'clock. Sign books and take pictures from 4 until 6. Toledo, Ohio, we are confirmed. Toledo, Ohio, we are confirmed. Toledo, Ohio, I will be in your city for the first time on Thursday, August 11th, Toledo, Ohio. Thursday, August 11th, Toledo, Ohio. And I will be at the Greater New Psalmist Church. Greater New Psalmist Church, 3251 Glendale Avenue, Toledo, Ohio. Thursday, August 11th. For more information, 419-742-6271. 419-742-6271. Today is our second questions and answers live donation line for the shockumentary. I'm in the process of raising funds for the most anticipated documentary of the millennium, the psychoacademic war against black boys. In this documentary, which we plan to have ready for Kwanzaa, we will detail, illustrate, we will break down the miseducation against black children. We will break down the special education against black children. We will break down the psychiatric medication against black children. We will break down the juvenile incarceration against black children. We will break down the psychological frustration of African children. We will break down the premature extermination of African children. I need your help. I need you to donate. Today, as we did this last time, you will make a $10 Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle donation. You will make a $10 Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle donation. And I will read your question and ask your question live during today's 1-hour broadcast. If you make a Cash App donation, it automatically comes to me as a text message from Cash App. If you make a Cash App donation, it automatically comes to me as a text message from Cash App. If you make a Zelle donation, it automatically comes to me as a donation from Zelle. With Cash App, your question will come in the text message. With Zelle, your question will not come in the text message. So if you make a Zelle donation, you have to text me your first and last name and your question. I repeat, if you donate on Zelle today, text me your first and last name along with your question to 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. If you donate on Zelle, you must text me your first and last name along with the question so I can match it to the donation confirmation I automatically get via text from Zelle. If you donate on Cash App, I automatically get your question. PayPal, I believe with PayPal, you can also include your question with your donation. Before I get into the Q&A, before we get into the Q&A today, I want to express heartfelt condolences to the brother Everett Jackson, the college basketball player who was reported missing. So-called river accident with his white Mormon girlfriend. From what I understand, rest in peace to you, brother Everett. Our heartfelt condolences, love, sympathies, and support goes out to his family and friends. I understand his mother did not want to send him to visit his white Mormon girlfriend in, I think, Idaho. I wish the Queen Mother would have followed her inner guidance. I wish the Queen Mother would have followed her divine intuition. I wish the Queen Mother would have listened to the ancestors who were trying to tell her, don't send your son. But he begged and pleaded with his mother to go visit his white Mormon girlfriend. He was going to a wedding. And when he got to Idaho, or whichever state the white Mormon girl lived in, she told him that it was against their religion to have a black man present at the wedding. For those of you who don't understand the history of the Mormon white supremacist religion, if you don't understand the history of the Mormon white supremacist religion, let me make you aware that they fully believe black people are cursed. My skin is according to a curse. My hair is according to a curse. That's what the Mormons believe. Reactionary white racism gives birth to reactionary white religion. Reactionary white racism gives birth to reactionary white religion. And what I find interesting about this story, about our brother Everett, whose body was recovered recently, is how did the Mormon SnowBunny not know that he would not be allowed at the wedding before he left home? Are you telling me that the white girl, this Mormon, this woman who belongs to this racist religious cult, you're telling me that she didn't know brother Everett would not be allowed to accompany her to the wedding? That's nonsense. She's a Mormon. She know they don't like black people. She knows black people has no place in their religious life. So why did you invite him to go to a wedding that you knew full well he could not attend? I believe this was a sacrifice. I believe that this was a sacrifice. In addition to that, they went white water rafting with some of her white Mormon friends. I believe it was a party of 5 or 6. Why have we not heard a word from the other white Mormon demons who were on the raft with our brother Everett? Where is their statements? Why are we not hearing anything about the other white Mormon youth who went on this rafting trip with our dear brother Everett? Why is the white girl's story not matching up with the story of the person who made the 911 telephone call? The person who made the 911 telephone call gives us a different story than we received from the privileged white Mormon female girlfriend. Why was he even allowed to date a Mormon? Why did he think it was okay to date a Mormon? We know his mom did not want to send him on the trip, but he begged and pleaded, so she allowed him to. Now y'all see why I took issue with Bronny James taking the SnowBunny to the prom. Now you all see why the Prince of Pan-Africanism took issue with Bronny James taking the SnowBunny to the prom, because dating white, the SnowBunny crisis can cost you your life. Look at the black sister who was beat almost to death by her white NFL boyfriend. Almost no media coverage. He beat that black girl almost to death. No media fallout. No, look at all the black athletes who almost had their careers canceled by the NFL for spanking their child on the ass. Look at all the black football players who almost had their careers canceled for smacking their little child on the ass for misbehaving. This white man beat a black woman half to death in almost no media coverage. Total whiteout in the media. Then we had our African immigrant brother who was dating the Instagram model, stabbed him to death, didn't spend a day in prison. Then we had the sister who went to the sleepover with her white female friends, and she falls off the balcony. That story is still unsolved. And I'm missing. There's more of these stories. The SnowBunny crisis is costing black people their lives. And my problem with the brother Everett's case, rest in peace. My problem with brother Everett's case, rest in peace. This was totally preventable and totally foreseeable. I'm wondering if he knew he was going rafting before he left home. Did brother Everett know he was going rafting before he went home? Did brother Everett know he was going whitewater rafting? Because from what I understand, he was on his way to a wedding. So I'm trying to understand, rest in peace to you, Ancestor Everett, but I'm trying to understand why he stayed in Idaho. I'm trying to understand why this young man stayed in Idaho after being refused attendance at the white wedding. If my girlfriend, and I don't date outside the race, never did, never will, but if my girlfriend tells me I'm not allowed to go to this wedding, which is the purpose for me making the journey in the first place. If my girlfriend tells me I'm not allowed to go to the wedding, I'm going back home. Because if your family don't want me at the wedding, if your family doesn't want me at the wedding, if your family doesn't want me at the wedding, they damn sure don't want me with you. I need y'all to understand, overstand, and understand right now. If the family don't want you at the wedding, they damn sure don't want you with their daughter. If they don't want you at the wedding, they damn sure don't want you with their daughter. Why didn't he call his mother and say, Mom, come get me, change the flight? I'm sure he had a round trip ticket. I hope he didn't drive. And if he drove, he should have hopped his ass in the car and hit the highway. I want to know why he stayed. And brother Everett, I hope my ancestor brother. I hope you did not stay after being refused attendance at the wedding. I'm hoping you didn't stay because you wanted those vanilla cookies, brother. Please don't tell me white vagina cost you your life, brother. Please don't tell me. Because as a black man, even though he was a youth, as a black man, even though he was a youth, we as African people are divine. We are divine. That's why we're so humane to everybody else, because we are so divine. Our divinity doesn't usually allow us to behave like the Neanderthal branch of the human family. See, African DNA is divine. We have the God gene. Every African person carries the God gene inside of them. And because we carry the God gene inside of us, we cannot behave like the Neanderthal branch of the human family. We cannot engage in psychopathological, sociological, narcissistic, cold-blooded behavior. We can't do that. We can't. Our DNA prevents us from engaging in animalistic behavior. And we are also equipped with divine intuition. So I know Brother Everett had to feel funny about not being allowed to go to this wedding. I know Brother Everett had to feel some kind of way about not being allowed to go to this wedding. I know something in him said, I'm not safe here. Why did my girlfriend let me come all the way to Idaho for a wedding that she knew I could not be a part of? Why did my SnowBunny, Neanderthal, mayonnaise, Mormon girlfriend let me come all the way to Idaho for a wedding that she knew I could not attend? But I'm going to go back to Brother Everett's parents, and I give them my heartfelt condolences, so I'm not disrespecting them at all. They just lost their son. They are going through trauma, and they are fighting with the Idaho authorities to try to get a just investigation. And you know, Europeans do not practice justice with African people. That is a fundamental tenet of white supremacy. Europeans do not, as a group, practice justice with Africans. Now, you might find a few individual Europeans who have been able to decalcify their pineal gland and get in touch with the ancestral power of a distant African relative and thereby be able to engage in some degree of justice. But as a race, Europeans do not practice justice with African people. So Everett's family is going to need some backup. Everett's family is going to need some support. See, we have to go back to the days of the black self-help networks that we had during slavery. We need to go back to the days of the black self-help networks that we had during Reconstruction. We have to go back to the black self-help networks we had during the Jim Crow and Civil Rights era. Right now, there should be security around Everett's family. Right now, there should be a lawyer, a therapist, a social worker helping Brother Everett's family get through this trauma as they fight for justice. See, being disorganized is going to get us exterminated as a race. Being disorganized is going to get us exterminated as a race. Being disorganized is going to get us exterminated as a race if we keep on being stuck on stupid. This colorblind mentality is killing African people. This colorblind mentality is killing African people. This is bigger than Shannon Sharp. This is bigger than Bronny James. This is bigger than Shannon Sharp. This is bigger than Bronny James. This is bigger than Shannon Sharp. This is bigger than Bronny James. Brothers and sisters, if you are raising your children to be colorblind, you are setting them up to be assassinated. Whether that assassination is social, whether that assassination is political, whether that assassination is economic, whether that assassination is psychological, if you are raising black children to be colorblind in 21st century America, you are setting them up for an early exit from the earth plane. You are setting them up for an early extermination from the first dimension. I don't understand how black parents are letting black children date outside the race. I don't understand this. We just celebrated 157 years since the end of slavery Sunday. We just celebrated 157 years since the end of slavery Sunday. You know what we have been through in this country. I don't care how much of a Negropean you are. You know what African people have been through in this country. You see all the police getting away with cold-blooded murder. You see all the SnowBunny killings. You see all the SnowBunny killings. You see all the SnowBunny killings. It's no way on earth you send your son to another state to attend a Mormon wedding. I'm not getting on his parents. I'm talking to the rest of y'all who still have their sons and daughters. We're letting Everett's parents grieve. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to us as black parents and black people in the African race and the black community. How do you send your child to another state to attend a Mormon wedding when you know Mormons are one of the most racist religious cults in the world? Y'all didn't hear about the black boy? The little black boy in 4th grade, was it? Who went to a sleepover with his white classmates? Went to a sleepover with his white classmates and they urinated in a cup. This is only what? A few months ago. They called him the N-word. They bullied him. They all urinated in a cup and made him drink their urine. Why was our little brother allowed to go to a sleepover with children from that branch of humanity who has a historic track record of psychopathological abuse against African people? How dare you send that boy to a sleepover with white boys? And they made him drink their urine. How dare you send your boy to Idaho to go to a Mormon wedding and he dies and he's the only one who dies? How interesting is that? 5 or 6 Mormons are whitewater rafting, and the only person who dies is the black basketball player visiting from out of state who wasn't allowed to go to the wedding in the first place. That's very convenient. That's very convenient. 6 Mormons are whitewater rafting with an out-of-state black boy who wasn't allowed to go to the family's wedding. How convenient of an assassination that was. I do not understand us. Our thirst for white validation, our hunger for white approval, our starvation and our lust and our incessant pursuit of the company of white folks is leading to an unprecedented rise in white lynchings. Everett was lynched. The brother murdered by the Instagram model, that was a lynching. What about the brother in Pittsburgh? What about the brother in Pittsburgh who went hunting with a group of white males? He went hunting with a group of white males. Ended up dead while hunting with a group. What made him think it was okay to go hunting with a group of white males? And y'all wonder why. We need the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Y'all wonder why. We need the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Let me reflect on the Juneteenth weekend that just passed. Let me reflect on the Juneteenth weekend that just passed. And if you have a question, go ahead and send your $10 or more, minimum $10 donation for the documentary, to my Cash App, $ Dr. Umar Johnson. DRUMAR Johnson. You must use Johnson. Dr. Umar is a fake account. You must use Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar is a fake Cash App account. $ DRUMAR Johnson. Cash App. Zelle. If you're making your $10 or more donation to Zelle, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Go ahead and text your question for my Zelle people. Cash App. You can put your question right in your Cash App donation before you send it. I'm going to hit up the questions in a minute. Juneteenth was a success. I enjoyed my first ever Juneteenth tour. I'm not sure why I haven't been doing them the past 25 years. I guess it just never occurred to me. Charlotte was phenomenal. Thank you to all the brothers and sisters who showed me love, all the gifts from the vendors, all the support from the elders, all the Papa Bear hugs from the queens, all the alpha male handshakes from the brothers. Good conversation. I enjoyed Charlotte. My lecture in Charlotte was interrupted. The first time in my life, the first time in my professional oratorical career, the first time ever in my professional historical oratorical career. And I say historical because I've traveled more than arguably any black scholar in the history of this country, speaking around the world. And one of the gatekeepers, one of the black bourgeoisie elder gatekeepers, one of the black bourgeoisie elder gatekeepers for the Charlotte Juneteenth Festival decided to come on stage and interrupt my lecture after I told black parents that the MMR shot causes autism in black boys. After I told black parents that the MMR shot causes autism in black boys. The Queen Mother Elder Bourgeoisie Gatekeeper came to the stage and interrupted the speech. I was not aware that one of the sponsors for the Charlotte Juneteenth celebration was a white pharmaceutical company. I was not aware that one of the sponsors for the Charlotte Juneteenth celebration was a white pharmaceutical company. I was not aware that one of the sponsors of the Charlotte Juneteenth celebration was a white pharmaceutical company. But I had 25 minutes to speak. I did get my 25 minutes. It was about time for me to exit, but the way the Queen Mother did it was extremely disrespectful. She did allow me to conclude. She did allow me to conclude, and I moved on. But it bothers me. It bothers me that we allowed President Joe Biden, and I taught you all this last year. I have yet to be wrong on a political prediction yet. I taught you all this last year. I have yet to be wrong on a political prediction yet. I told you Joe Biden federalized Juneteenth to kill Juneteenth. Did I not say that 1 year ago? Did I not make that political prediction 1 year ago? Juneteenth was made a federal holiday because it is the last authentically black celebration left in this country. They co-opted Kwanzaa. They co-opted Dr. King's birthday. They co-opted Black History Month. The only authentically black celebration left was Juneteenth. Joe Biden knew to get rid of black folks, he had to get rid of Juneteenth. So what did he do? He made it a federal holiday, which opened every Juneteenth festival up to funding from corporate America and the white governmental power structure. Once he made Juneteenth a federal holiday, that automatically opened Juneteenth up to white corporate sponsorship and white governmental power structure funding. And you know black people love white people's money. You know black people love white people's money. You know black people love white people's money. And the minute Juneteenth became a federal holiday, every Juneteenth organizer in America, as soon as Juneteenth became a federal holiday, every Negro Juneteenth committee in America, except for a few, and I want to give kudos to every Juneteenth committee that still refuses to be subsidized by non-African people. I want to salute you. If you are still an authentically self-controlled, self-funded Juneteenth celebration, I salute you. If you are a totally self-contained, self-controlled, no government funding, no corporate funding, no Chinese funding, no Arab funding, no Mexican funding, if you are still an authentically black Juneteenth celebration committee, I salute you. I salute you. I salute you. But for all of you who have been co-opted by taking that damn money, all of you other Juneteenth organizers who have been co-opted by taking government funds and corporate funds, on behalf of my African ancestors, on behalf of my African ancestors, I want you to know they are upset and disappointed in you. On behalf of all of my African ancestors, I want you to know that they are upset and disappointed in all of you Negroes who are celebrating black freedom with white money. Can somebody help me understand the hypocrisy? Can somebody help me understand the contradiction? Can somebody help me understand the irony? How do you celebrate the end of slavery with financial re-enslavement? How do you celebrate the end of slavery with financial re-enslavement? You are voluntarily putting yourself under the control of the U.S. government. You are voluntarily putting yourself under the control of white corporate America in the name of black freedom and the end of slavery. If that's not a contradiction, if that is not a contradiction, how am I going to celebrate freedom from the white man as I take money from the white man that re-enslaves me to the white man? How do I celebrate freedom from the white man as I take money from the white man, which re-enslaves me financially to the white power structure? You cannot be an effective activist, revolutionary, leader or organizer if you don't think you can exist without white money. Because the first thing you have to free yourself of in the war for freedom, the first thing you have to free yourself of in the war for freedom, the first thing you must free yourself of in the war for freedom is freedom from dependency on white dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. If you can't free yourself from white dollars, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies, then don't ever tell me you believe in black freedom. This is why the NAACP is a contradiction. This is why the Urban League is a contradiction. This is why every black politician is a contradiction. Because all of you are funded by the same power structure you're supposed to be fighting for your people's freedom. All of you are funded by the same power structure you're supposed to be fighting for your people's freedom. So then we go to Sunday. HBCU Benedict College. Shout out to Baba Ratashki and his queen, House of Hathor. All my Columbia, South Carolina Africans, go support Baba Ratashki and his queen. He's a real one. From what I've seen, him and his queen, they are down there doing the work in Columbia, South Carolina. Google House of Hathor. Google House of Hathor. Google House of Hathor on your internet, on your phone, and make sure you go visit House of Hathor, black-owned, merchandise, books, dashikis, incense, whatever you need. Buy out the whole shop. He's a real one. Thank you for the invite, Baba. We show up to HBCU Benedict College on Sunday, and we get stopped by the cops, me and the Fred Hampton Gun Club. Shout out to General Talib and the Fred Hampton Gun Club for holding me down this past weekend. Not their first time, won't be their last time. Shout out to General Talib and the Fred Hampton Gun Club for holding me down this whole weekend. Excellent security, excellent security. We got stopped and searched. They went in my luggage. First time ever as a keynote speaker, I've been searched that way. And you all saw the video, but I want to say this and I want to clarify. I want to clarify in the interest of African ethics. I want to clarify. Those brothers actually looked out for us because the white state police wanted to take jurisdiction over the search. The white state police wanted to take jurisdiction over the search, and the chief of police for that township or that college overruled them. He said, we got this. And so although they did search us intensely, they were doing their job, but in doing their job, they still protected the Fred Hampton Gun Club from what could have become a tragedy had the white state police been allowed to take over jurisdiction of that search. So I want to give a shout out to those police officers who were there at the gate to the stadium of HBCU Benedict College. Thanks for looking out for my comrades, my soldiers in arms, my brothers and my sisters of the Fred Hampton Gun Club. I enjoyed both events. Despite the setback in Charlotte with the bourgeoisie gatekeeping elder queen mother, and despite the setback with the search, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. If any of you have any festivals coming up, because I really haven't done festivals, 25 years as the most requested, I haven't really done festivals. If you're having a festival, some place where Dr. Umar can come and teach the parents what they need to know, send me the flyer and I might pull up on you. Send me the flyer and I might pull up on you. If you got some honorarium dollars in there, then we might do a little bit more. But I want to go to a few more festivals this summer. Today marks the beginning of summer. The summer solstice happened this morning at 5:13 a.m. Happy summer. I believe Cancer season is officially here. Am I correct? Or does Cancer season start tomorrow? Cancer season is here. For those of you who don't know, Cancer is the sign of the great divine African feminine. Cancer is the sign of the great divine African feminine. So if you are a black woman who embraces her God-given feminine power, Cancer is your season automatically, whether you are a Cancerian or not. If you are an African woman who embraces your divine feminine energy, Cancer, the moon, Yemonja, is automatically your mother. Cancer is automatically a season for black women, whether you are a Cancerian or not. Leo season is coming soon, but I digress. Leo season will be here in a minute, but I digress. For all my queens out there sending me gifts this year, send them to P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia. Black businesses out there want to send me some of your merchandise for my birthday, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, 19132. If you're sending merchandise, 2XL on the tees, I might could do a 1XL, but I don't want no medium. Do not send me a medium t-shirt. I'ma burn it. I don't want a sports bra. Y'all be sending me larges. A large is a sports bra. I do not wear sports bras. Okay? Just so you know. So let's get to some questions. Let's get to some questions on the donation line. Let me see if anybody donated already. Rest in peace to Brother Everett. Cash App. Here we go. Sister Kimberly, $10. Thank you, Sister Kimberly. Brother Don Trell, no question. Appreciate you. Turkisa, I love you, Dr. Umar. I love you too, baby. Brother Mac, $10. No questions, just for support. Let me check out the Zells. Let me see if we got any Zelle donations yet. No Zells yet. Let me check out the PayPals. Let me check out the PayPals. Give him a second to load up. If you have a question, hit the Zelle, 215-989-9858. If you have a question, hit the Zelle, 215-989-9858, or hit the Cash App, $DRUMARJOHNSON. Hit the Cash App, $DRUMARJOHNSON. Cash App is my name. It's that simple. The Cash App is my name. It's really that simple. No period after the doctor. DRUMAR Johnson. $DRUMAR Johnson. I don't see. Okay, PayPal. Wait a sec. Loading up. Let me go back. Cash App. Brother Robert, are you going to do any more Jesse Lee Peterson interviews? Let me answer your question, Brother Robert. Thank you for the Cash App of $10, Brother Robert. Are you going to do any more Jesse Lee Peterson interviews? And for those of you who want to be as official donors, official sponsors of the Shockumentary, $100 is a basic Shockumentary sponsorship. Okay. $250 is a premier Shockumentary sponsorship. $500, you are an elite Shockumentary sponsor. You will get a plaque for your wall identifying you as an official sponsor. You will get a private dinner debut of the Shockumentary. You will be the first to see it. Okay, so if you want to be a sponsor of the Shockumentary, there will be a lot of perks involved. Free admission to different Shockumentary screenings around the country. $100 for basic Shockumentary sponsorship. $250 for premier Shockumentary sponsorship. $500 for elite Shockumentary sponsorship. But today is $10 or more for your questions. $sign Dr. Umar Johnson on Cash App. 215-989-9858 on the Zelle, 215-989-9858 on the Zelle. Brother Robert says, will I do any more Jesse Lee Peterson interviews? If he made it a substantial donation to the school, Brother Robert, I would rejoin Jesse Lee Peterson's platform. But I believe Jesse Lee Peterson is a paid Negro pen. I believe Candace Owens is a paid Negro pen. One thing you have to understand about the white power structure when you're talking about Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson's, okay? One thing you have to understand, the white power structure, through the government or through the corporate structure, they find influential Negroes and they buy them out in order to change the level of consciousness in Black America. Candace Owens was sponsored by the white power structure so she could begin to dilute the Black first narrative. Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson, these kind of Negroes, these types of Negroes are found and funded. They are found and funded in order to distract from the narrative. See, you have to understand something. Intellectual confusion is the enemy of mass organization, Brother Robert. Intellectual confusion is the enemy of mass organization. So what they love to do, they see me out here, right? So they say, okay, let's look at the Black intellectual landscape. This is what the government does in white corporate power structure. You have the governmental power structure and the white corporate power structure, and they are really two sides of the same white power elite. So they set back and they say, okay, we have to continue to control the narrative. Social network is making it difficult for us to control the narrative for Black America. Because you have people like Dr. Umar Ifatunde, who's the leading Black radical scholar in the world for African people. We have Dr. Umar Ifatunde, who's the leading Black radical scholar, period, in the African diaspora. And then underneath him, you have all of these copycats who take his content and repeat it. So it's he has a whole movement, the intellectual insurrection that Dr. Umar is leading. PayPal is Umar the psychologist. PayPal is Umar the psychologist. PayPal email address is umarthepsychologist@yahoo.com. PayPal is Umar the psychologist or umarthepsychologist@yahoo.com. So they say, okay, we have to take away from Dr. Umar's power in the social media sector because he's getting too many views. And Black people are tuning into Dr. Umar as much as they tune into CNN. Black people are tuning into Dr. Umar as much as they tune into a Roland Martin. And Roland Martin is not as bad as a Candace Owens or a Jesse Lee Peterson, but Roland Martin is another example of a found and financed Negro. So Roland Martin doesn't push the Republican agenda. He pushes the Democrat agenda. Roland Martin doesn't push the Republican agenda. Roland Martin pushes the Democrat agenda. But whether it's Candace Owens on the Republican side or Roland Martin on the Democrat side, both sides are anti-Black independence. Both sides are anti-Black revolution. Both sides are anti-African family first. So whether it's Roland Martin feeding you integration or Candace Owens feeding you integration, neither one is feeding you Pan-Africanism. Neither one is feeding you Pan-Africanism. So the Democrats are financing Roland and the Republicans are financing Candace, okay? And both of those roads are diverting you from the road to liberation. The road to liberation is not paved with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. The road to liberation is not paved with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Okay? Okay. So my voice, although I'm largely alone, supported by you all, is a very, very powerful voice. I'm well over 2 million subscribers on Instagram, but they only showing you 800,000. I'm well over 2 million subscribers on Instagram, but they're only showing you 800,000. I'm well over 1 million on Facebook, but they kept me at 500,000 for more than 5 years. That's ridiculous. You cannot be stuck at 500,000 for 5 years. You see that? So they're trying to, they shadow ban me. They shadow ban my lives. They shadow ban my followers. Y'all don't see nothing because they're trying to reduce my influence, because they're looking at most of the YouTubian struggle streamers. They're looking at most of the YouTubian struggle streamers, and they're saying, well, those guys ain't doing nothing but talk about gossip, talking about each other, slandering black people, chasing celebrities, goofing off. They have no real constructive content. They have no real constructive content. It's all gossip and sensationalism. But this Dr. Umar Ifatunde guy, we got to watch this guy, because he has serious content and he's getting more views than the struggle streamers. So we have to intensify Candace Owens. We have to intensify Jesse Lee Peterson. We have to intensify Roland Martin. We got to intensify all the beta male Democratic plantation party pundits, because Dr. Umar is getting too powerful right now. He's getting too powerful. And the man don't even have a YouTube page. The man don't even have a YouTube page. So to answer your question, my brother, I don't want to drive any more of my support base to Jesse Lee Peterson's platform unless I'm getting something out of it that's going to benefit the movement. If I'm not getting something out of it to benefit the movement, it's no need for me to go on Jesse Lee Peterson's platform. Let me go to the next question. Good question, Brother Rob. Sister Tina, thank you for your $20. May we have an update on the school? Sure. I will give you an update on the festival, and I will give you an update on the school renovation project. FDMG festival update is we are currently investigating the laws and the policies and the ordinances of the city of Wilmington as it relates to block closures and special event permits. We are currently investigating the ordinances, the policy, the protocol, the law for the state of Delaware and the city of Wilmington as it relates to block closures and special event permit requests. When I have more update for you, I will let you know. I hope the mayor exercises good judgment and simply says, this is absolutely ridiculous that you guys want to hold a block party in front of this man's school. Nobody has even thought about doing anything in front of FDMG since the school shut down from being a charter school almost 10 years ago. All of a sudden, this man has a very successful festival last September. This man has a very successful festival last September. And all of a sudden, some mystery organization that Mrs. Betts and Miss Christopher will not name request a permit, and they request the permit 63 hours before you receive an email from Dr. Umar letting you know they will be having a festival on September the 10th. I don't know what it smells like, but it don't smell like the truth. I don't know what it smells like, but it don't smell like the truth. And I'm hoping that all of my true supporters watching, because I know half of you are nothing but Negropeans and trolls and informants, but for my true supporters watching this broadcast, I hope you sent an email to the mayor and or to the chief of staff and or to Mrs. Tina Betts, the director of cultural programming for the mayor, or to Miss Tiffany Christopher, the special event coordinator. If you support me and you support FDMG, you must make a phone call and or send an email. Don't call yourself a Dr. Umar supporter or an FDMG supporter if you haven't picked up your telephone and called the mayor's office, the chief of staff office, the cultural programming office, the special events office. If you ain't reached out with a phone call or an email to the mayor of Wilmington, the chief of staff of Wilmington, Mrs. Tina Betts, the cultural programming director, or Miss Tiffany Christopher, the special events coordinator, don't call yourself a supporter. Okay? The second half of your question. Right now, we were in the middle of getting the plumbing done. We were in the middle of getting the plumbing done, and then we got ripped off by the black contractor. We do have a contract. We do have a contract. We are exploring now with our attorney as to whether we should give him a certain amount of time to finish the work, or if we should cut and end the relationship right now, because he violated the contract by telling me he needs more money than what we paid him to finish the job. And if he don't get more money than what is listed in the contract, he cannot finish. So I'm waiting to hear from the attorney. So please hit the Cash App for the school, $FDMG. Hit the Cash App for the school, $FDMG school, FDMG school. Do not put an S on it. Do not put a Z. Those are fake accounts. $FDMG school, or PayPal.me/FDMG Academy for the school. Today is the shockumentary. Shockumentary donations do not go to the school. Shockumentary donations come to $Dr. Umar Johnson on the Cash App, or 215-989-9858 on the Zelle, or paypal.me/Umar the Psychologist. And if you need the email address to make a PayPal donation for the shockumentary, Umar the Psychologist at yahoo.com. Let's go to the next question. Sister Tina, that was your question. Sister Alexis, $40, thank you. Sister Crystal, $25, thank you. Brother Charles, $25, thank you. Mr. Kalima, $5, thank you. Antoinette, $40, thank you. Sanford Johnson. Any book recommendations on Orisha culture? Yes. There are a couple of book recommendations on Orisha culture. These are two of the book recommendations I have for Orisha culture. This is Holy Odu Ifa by Awo Fasalo. This is one of my most simple, easy to understand interpretations. It also gives you a very good introduction to Ifa. So Holy Odu Ifa, this is what the book looks like. This is a very good one for beginners. Here is another good one. Igoke Iwaju Ori. Okay. And this is a practical guide into Ifa cosmology and Ori development. A practical guide into Ifa cosmology and Ori development by Olotunde Olufemi. Olotunde Olufemi. But let me tell you who has the best collection of books on Ifa. And for those of you who don't understand, Ifa is the ancient traditional spiritual system practiced by the Yoruba people of Nigeria. Okay? The bookstore with the best collection of Yoruba books is Everyone's Place Bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland. Everyone's Place Bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland. Everyone's Place Bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland. Go online and type in Everyone's Place Bookstore. Ask the good brother who's a Garveyite, Brother Nati, he's a Garveyite. Ask him to send you a list of all the books on not only Yoruba spirituality, but all African traditional spirituality, because we are one family. I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters who practice Kemetic science. I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters who practice traditional African voodoo. I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters who practice the Palo, the Lukumi, the Santeria tradition, the Akan tradition, okay? The Dogon tradition. We stand in solidarity with all practitioners of traditional African spirituality. We do not fight like Christians and Muslims argue over whether Jesus was a prophet or the son of God. We don't do that. African spirit, there has never been a world war over African spirituality. There has never been a world war over African spirituality. We do not force people to practice African spirituality, because in this tradition, in the tradition of African spirituality, we believe that you are called by your ancestors back into the tradition. So we don't have to do no forcing. I don't have to go around making nobody feel bad. We don't go around telling you you're going to hell. If you don't accept Jesus, you're going to hell. If you don't take the Shahada and become a Muslim, you're going to hell. If you don't follow Moses and the Torah, we don't do that. African tradition is not a get down, lay down, militaristic religious system. Okay? Okay? So get in contact with Everyone's Place bookstore. Get in contact with Everyone's Place bookstore and get some books. Anybody need a traditional African spiritual reading in the Yoruba tradition, a dafa, a divination, you can text me. I will send you the names of some members of my spiritual team who do my spiritual divinations. You should get a divination before you make an important decision, before you get married, before you move, before you take a new job. Any major decision, you should get some insight from the other side. We live on this dimension, but there's another dimension. You exist on two planes at the same time. You are here in the flesh in heaven, but you have a double. You have a spiritual double, another part of you. You have a reflection of yourself, a spiritual double. Your higher self exists up in heaven at the same time. Okay. Let me go to the next question. Jay Hunter, why do so many black people deny their Africanity? Good question, Brother Jay. Why do so many black people deny their Africanity? The reason why we got all these I'm not from Africa Negroes running around this country, the very simple reason we have so many I'm not from Africa Negroes running around this country is because the white man has done a very great job traumatizing you into hating who you are. Let me say this again. The white power structure has taken 500 years, and through brainwash, indoctrination, traumatization, he has convinced you that there's nothing good about being a black African. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. The white man has convinced you that there is absolutely nothing black and African that is good, positive, progressive, or will be successful. And that's why you got Negroes talking about they Cherokee Indians, they not from Africa. You got Negroes talking about they Choctaw Indians, they not from Africa. You got Negroes talking about they Seminole Indians with no African blood. You got Negroes talking about they from Mexico and Canada and anywhere but Africa because of self-hatred. Okay? If anybody has been brainwashed into thinking you're not from Africa, please go read Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Please go read Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen. Please go read the books on not only they came before Columbus, African presence in early America, ancient African voyages to America. There's a whole library of research, real, authentic, documented research on the African voyages to America before Columbus, the African civilizations in America before Columbus, the African artifacts found in America before Columbus. It is undeniable. It is undeniable that we were here first. We were everywhere first. And if you are an African in this country, you do not descend from Native Americans. You descend from Native Africans. The Native Africans from Africa populated this country before the so-called Native American crossed the Bering Strait. And it was those Asiatics who crossed the Bering Strait, came to America, found us here, and we interbred with the Native Americans who came across the Bering Strait from Asia. And that's how you get your modern mixed race Native American population. That is how you get your modern mixed race Native American population. The red man is a mixture of the black man and the brown man. The red man is a mixture of the black man of Africa and the brown man of Asia. We were here first, but we came from Africa. And if anyone doesn't believe the truth, go do your research. The books are there. I don't know why y'all take instruction from uncredentialed, untrained, YouTubian armchair scholars. I don't understand why y'all take instruction from untrained, uncredentialed YouTube scholars. These people who are telling you you're not from Africa, haven't published any documentation, have not done any research, have not been trained at any university on how to do the research, and you accept what they say to be truth. That's on you. I know who I am, and I know where I come from. Let's go to the next question. I want to visit Africa for the first time. Do you have a suggestion? Brother Miles, thank you for the donation. Brother Miles, thank you for the donation. Brother Miles wants to go to Africa. This is what I'm going to tell you, Brother Miles. And this is what I'm going. First of all, we're going back to Africa next summer, y'all. Everybody get ready. Everybody get ready. Get your money ready. I need you to save $5 grand for next summer. Save $5 grand for next summer. Dr. Umar took 3 years off of his Africa trip for COVID. Dr. Umar took 3 years off of his Africa trip for COVID. Dr. Umar took 3 years off of his Africa trip for COVID, but I'm ready to go back. Next summer, the Africa trips are back on. Save up $5 grand. It's going to cost you about $5 grand. 2 weeks in Africa, almost everything included, okay? Get your $5 grand together. Brothers, pay your child support off because you cannot get your passport. Brothers, pay your child support off. You cannot get that passport if you owe money. We are going back to Africa. It's been 3 years. I haven't been home. Get your money ready. Okay, we are going to Africa. I'm looking forward to getting back home, brothers and sisters. Oh, yes, we are going home, brothers and sisters. We are going home, and I don't want no Negropeans and no haters on my trip. Every trip I've had about 2 or 3 undercover haters on my trip. Every Africa voyage I have taken, and I've had 6 or 7 of them. If you don't like me, do not go to Africa with me. This is for supporters. My trip is for supporters, not for people who want to try to tear me down behind my back with lies and scandals. Do not come on. There's a million Africa trips. There's a million Africa trips. You can go to Africa with anybody. Do not sign up for my damn trip if you do not like me. Please, please. I go to Africa to relax and enjoy myself. If you are a hater, stay the hell off my Africa trips. Rosie, you can go to the block party. You hating? I had to block you. And take that damn weave out your head and get some original hair for a change. Coming on my damn live trying to disrespect me with a head full of hair from the Chinese store. Get your ass up out of here. Hop off the live right now. Hop your Negro peeing ass off the live right now. Let me go. Oh, answer the question. Where should you go in Africa? Anywhere. I don't care where you go in Africa, my brother. You will feel the culture no matter where you go in Africa. You will feel the culture no matter where you go. Just get there. Okay? Ghana probably has the best traditional African cultural experience. Ghana probably has the best traditional African cultural experience. But you can't get into Ghana unless you are vaccinated. You can't get into Ghana unless you are vaccinated. I love Nigeria. I love Benin. Okay? Benin is the African voodoo capital. Benin is the African voodoo capital. I love Togo. I love Morocco. I love Malawi. I love Ethiopia, Kemet, South Africa, Lesotho. I love them. The Gambia. I love them all. So I say go wherever your heart leads you to, my brother. And by the way, for those of you who are interested, this will only be open to FDMG donors and supporters. We're going to buy a multi-unit residence in one African nation. I'm researching now. The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy is going to buy a vacation property. It's going to have multi-units. I'm going to look for some of you who are interested in owning property in Africa. FDMG will purchase half of the property and the donors will purchase half of the property, and you will have a vacation house whenever you go to Africa. You will never pay for a hotel again. 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 I'm working on this right now, y'all. A vacation residence near the water in Africa that we will own. So whenever you want to get away from America for a week, whenever you want to sneak away to Africa with your husband, your wife, your fiance, you know what I'm saying? Your queen, your king, and you just want to get away and you don't want to spend a bunch of money at a hotel, you will have your own house. The FDMG house that we will own. We will have our own conferences, our cookouts, our gatherings. We will be a family. But I have to interview you. I have to research you because I cannot let a Negro peon become a part of this family. I am the chief of the village, Chief Ifa Tunde. And as the chief of this African village that we will be building, as the chief of this African village that we will be building, I cannot allow any Negro peons to infiltrate. More information is coming soon. More information is coming soon. Next question. Hit your Cash App. $ Dr. Umar Johnson. Hit your Cash App. Next question. Brother Robert, thank you for your donation. Why politics and religion shouldn't go together? Good question. Brother Rob says, why shouldn't politics and religion go together? The reason politics and religion cannot go together, Brother Rob, is because black people are too religiously immature. Politics and religion cannot go together because black people are too religiously immature. We can't get along as it is, Brother Rob. We can't get along as it is. You got the bourgeois Negroes hating the ghetto Negroes. You got the light-skinned Negroes versus the chocolate Negroes. You got the man versus the woman. You got the youth versus the elder. And now you're going to put religion in there? Now you're going to put religion in there? We are too religiously immature. We believe everybody got to be a Christian. We believe everybody got to be a Muslim. We believe everybody got to be a Hebrew. We believe everybody got to be a Jehovah's Witness. We are too religiously immature to mix politics and religion. The reason the most honorable Marcus Garvey, was the most successful black organizer in history is because despite being a Christian, he kept religion out of the political movement. Despite being a Christian, the most honorable Marcus Garvey had the wisdom and the foresight to see that although I'm a Christian, I should not make this movement a religious movement because we don't suffer because we black. Excuse me. We don't suffer because we Christian. We don't suffer because we Muslim. We suffer because we are African. Marcus Garvey said, if you want to be a Christian, go pray in the church. You want to be a Muslim, go pray in the masjid. But when you show up to the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, you show up as an African to nation build for African people. And that's why the religion. Who taught Marcus Garvey? You got to make a donation to get that answer. Who taught the most honorable Marcus Garvey? You got to make a donation. Let me go to my Zelle donations. Let me go to my Zelle. Brother William, $5 donation. Thank you, Brother William, for the $5 Zelle donation. Go back to the Cash App. Sister Denise, no question. Thank you, Sister Denise. Let me hit up the PayPal. If you have a question, hit your Cash App. We raising money for the shockumentary. We begin filming next month. We're raising money for the shockumentary. We begin filming next month. We're raising money for the shockumentary. We begin filming next month. Hit your Cash App Facebook. Hit your Cash App Instagram. $FD, excuse me, $DRUMARJOHNSON. $DRUMARJOHNSON, or send it Zelle 215-989-9858 if you're making a Zelle donation for the shockumentary. 215-989-9858. I'm sorry, Sister Crystal, I already answered that question 5 minutes ago. You might be late to the broadcast. I won't be asking it again. Let me go back. Cash App. Here we go. Sparks and Bridges. $1. I can't ask the question for $1, Sparks and Bridges. It got to be $10. It got to be $10. Let's go back. So while we're waiting for the Cash Apps and the Zelles to come on in for the shockumentary questions, Cash Apps and Zelles. You have a question, Marie? Hit the Cash App. $10 minimum donation. I will read and answer your question. $ Dr. Umar Johnson. You half white? Why are you telling me? If you identify as an African and you got an African parent, I will accept you as long as you identify with the race. Okay. No, sir, I'm not doing that. No, I've sacrificed too much for our community, too much personally for our community. $10 a question. I'm not doing dollar questions. That does not get the shockumentary done. Dollar questions. What are your thoughts on Brother Polite? If you want my thoughts on Brother Polite, you need to submit $10 donation. $10 donation. Let me see something. Go to the Cash App. A Bank, $10. Who was Hannibal Barca? A Bank, $10. Who was Hannibal Barca? First of all, I would say to you that you should get a book on Hannibal Barca. That's the first thing you should do. Hannibal Barca was arguably, I would say undisputedly, some people would say arguably, the greatest military genius in human history. He was an African. He was able to successfully conquer a very large portion of Europe. He defeated almost every European military power of his day. And he was able to get elephants. He was able to get elephants to successfully cross the mountains into Europe. To this day, nobody understands how Hannibal was able to get elephants over the Alps. But he got an army of elephants to cross the mountains into Europe, a feat that nobody can explain to this day. Much like the pyramids of Kemet, nobody can explain how Hannibal Barca did what he did. Unfortunately, from what I understand, if memory serves me correctly, he was sabotaged and betrayed by his brother, just like Shaka Zulu, another great military genius and strategist. Hannibal Barca, a black man, was betrayed by his brother, and that is what ultimately led to his defeat. Great question, but there's some good books out there. Be wary of the statues of a white Hannibal Barca. Be wary of the statues of a white Hannibal Barca. Keep in mind that under European white supremacist philosophy, white supremacy isn't based on truth. So if they see something and they want to claim it, even though they are not responsible for the achievement, they will simply paint the person white. That's what they do. European culture does not believe in truth. If they will paint Hannibal Barca white, they will paint Jesus Christ white, they will paint people white. If they can get away with it, they will paint you as white and tell the world that you are white. Or they painted King Tutankhamun as white. They painted Akhenaten as white. Any great person from history, they will paint as white if you let them get away with it. Hannibal was not white. He was an African. Brother Galmo, appreciate you, Brother Galmo. Thank you for your donation. Sister Sharon, what are your thoughts on Brother Polite? You really want to know my thoughts on Brother Polite? I'll give you my history with Brother Polite, okay? Because I don't want to speak negatively about the brother. You know, he doesn't mention me. I don't mention him. He's not one of my favorite people. He and I, along with Cyrus Sutin Seti, were the three speakers at an event that Brother Sarnetta hosted back in 2011, 2012. I had just taken over the conscious movement as its king about a year prior. And I showed up to the National Black Theater that night for an event that was called Gathering of the Young Masters. I believe Brother Seti presented first, Polite presented second, I presented third. When it was time for me to present, the Brother Polite didn't want to get off the stage. It took King Simon, Sarnetta, and other people to remind him that his time was done and he needed to get out the way. He also made some subliminal comments that were somewhat disrespectful as well. I ignored him, being the #1 orator alive. Obviously, I took over the show, blew it down. The rest was history. That was the first incident. The second incident was when the COINTELHO scandal took place in 2015 with Mrs. Kim Ringworm. For whatever reason, he decided to do a 1 to 2 hour seminar on the COINTELHO scandal and went so far as to accuse me of being a fraud and a scammer and saying the school would never work. And if I had any sense, I would give him the money to invest in the school. And I didn't understand why somebody whose name I don't mention would stick their name in my business when it has nothing to do with him. And that was pretty much the end of that. I did get an Instagram message from Brother Polite a couple years ago, respectfully. He said that he was interested in some form of collaboration. He slid into my DMs on Instagram. I didn't respond, and no disrespect to him at all. And I appreciate him stepping up. If that was a genuine attempt to try to reconcile our past differences, I can appreciate that from any black man. And if that was a genuine attempt to reconcile, I appreciate it. But I am one person who is firmly of the mindset that we can reconcile. But my history has shown me that it's best not to go back to work with folks that you previously had issues with, because black people have a very difficult time burying the hatchet. Now, with regard to the accusations that have been made against him regarding pedophilia, child sexual abuse. I cannot speak to that. I have seen arguments that say the brother is innocent. I have seen arguments that say the brother is guilty. I understand his court case is still proceeding, and it is not my place to meddle in that. Just like I did not meddle in his teacher, or who he claims to be his teacher, the great Dr. Malachi Z. York. I've had people who have asked me to come to Dr. York's defense. I've had people who have asked me to not come to Dr. York's defense. So I approach Brother Polite's accusations and criminal charges the same way I approach Dr. Malachi Z. York's accusations and criminal charges, and that is hands off until the dust settles and I can evaluate the whole truth to give my opinion. I do not believe in minding people's business.